All right, everyone. Welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome and thanks for tuning in tonight. Nice Friday evening. We're going to be doing a little bit of casual animation more modeling than animation. As you can tell, we're already in kind of a rough spot with what we have done so far on this River Rapids ride. Yes, this is the Dream World one. But yeah, we're gonna try and get as much done as we can. Earlier, I went through and tried to line up our this little scratch drawing I made of it, of the layout, to make sure we could try and get this as accurate as possible. You can see this section here's the conveyor. There's some enclosed sections in green. Obviously not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll play around with it and get it to something hopefully a little bit usable by the end of the day today. But yeah, welcome to the chat. Feel free to send your questions, comments. The only one I see in there right now is Planet Coaster 2. I'm excited for that. I've played it a little bit. Honestly, I've gotten to a point now where I can, play Planet Coaster 2, or I can mess around with Blender. And well, Planet Coaster 2 is cool and it's fun. Blender just, I don't know, it kind of has taken that niche for me, as far as, a downtime activity. It's kind of what I end up doing these days, or at least try to, because it's a little bit more productive, a little bit more engaging, and you have obviously full control. But sometimes full control is bad, because look at this mess. So we'll see what we can do. I think we've got the basics of our layout for this ride done. As you can tell, we basically follow my rough tracing of this little Google Maps outline. So that should be good, but we need to get some details in, because right now we are severely lacking those. So I think we're probably going to start with maybe making this retention pond in the middle. Well, it's not a retention pond, it's a drainage pond for the actual ride. Making that honestly should be fairly easy, but then beyond that, I think we need to make a raft and make a station that doesn't look like this. So a little bit of work to be done, but yeah, feel free, send your comments, concerns. Let me know how the stream is looking and sounding. If you guys have any issues with that, please let me know. And yeah, guess we'll go ahead and get started here. So I'm gonna remove our little reference image here, and we're gonna make this terrain usable. So right now, I spin around here. This right here is going a little too deep for my liking, and also I need to make this a little longer. Let's do that first, just a little. This is the Dream World River Rapids, the Thunder River Rapids. So we'll see. Hopefully I can reuse these assets, because there's a couple of these Rapid Rides accidents, but this one is certainly the most well-known and honestly the most terrible. Looked into it a little bit for the video. Pretty inexcusable, some of the events that happened. Let's go around here just a little bit nicer. We're going to have our unload station just up here, and yes, I know the trough is currently banked. It's another thing we're going to fix with time, so don't yell at me for it. We will fix it shortly. The way I've made this so far is actually the same way I'd make a roller coaster in Blender, so it's a little bit wonky. I also think our distance from our end of our trough to the start of the station is a little bit too long. So let me compare it to our reference image, actually. Yeah, I'm going to pull it up just a little bit. Out there. Straighten it out, too. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. Not the path. Remove our empty. Alright. Now you need to make at some point we're going to make a conveyor that goes from here to there. But that is for later. Actually, I need to move this along just a little bit. Nope, wrong one. Should be about good, and then we'll just add just a little more onto the end of there. There we go. Now our conveyor will go from there to there. Alright. So let's go ahead and start with our terrain here, because this is going to be kind of the biggest hassle. Because I hate dealing with terrain in Blender, but we can make this work. The thing is, the whole ride is on a slant, and you know that's how river rapids work, right? Getting that to translate to Blender, though, is going to be fun. Let's subdivide. I don't want to subdivide with too much geometry yet, because we're going to eventually do that, but I want a little bit more control until then. So essentially I want this side of the ride to be much higher than this, which we can fairly easily get that done now. How are we liking that? Maybe a little higher. That's a little too much, a little too noticeable. Yes, this is for Dreamworld. Project is underway. Again, let me know if you guys are having any issues hearing or seeing anything on stream. Alright, and then this side I need to be lower, obviously. Similar story, we're just going to move it down just a little, because we're going to end up going in much more detail with terrain in a second. There's just a general kind of plane that I need this to be set to. Alright, from there, select it all and subdivide again. Here we can work out a few more specific details. You thinking about getting a ride as a ride operator at SeaWorld Orlando? Any tips? Good luck. SeaWorld is quite the company to work for, it sounds like, but I would say just go in with a positive attitude and willing to work, and you know, it'll take you pretty far. I'm sure it would be cool to work some of those coasters, though. Love me some Mako. Alright, trying to think how I want to do this. How often do they drain and fill the water? Oh, that's a fantastic question. So, obviously depends on the park and the attraction. A river rapids ride like this will actually be drained and filled nightly in the overwhelming majority of cases. It also does depend on the source of the water. A lot of these rides are in fairly wet places already, so if they're near a natural source of water, they'll usually just get water directly from that, and they'll be drained and filled literally every single day they're shut off. Yeah, good luck getting Mako. That'd be great. That ride looks like a blast to work, but I mean it's a B&M. Once you've done one, you kind of done them all. So I got my Gatekeeper experience several years ago, and I can just close my eyes, pretend that was Mako, and it's basically the same thing. All right, so how are we looking for terrain here? Trying to make sure there's no other big changes I want to make to this terrain before I start subdividing and making it really messy. We'll make our drainage pond here. I just wonder if I should raise this up at all. Yeah, we could do that actually. Let me raise up this side. This whole side here. Just enough. Don't want it to be quite that deep. Actually, maybe I do. I'm thinking about how I want to do this. This is not a usual animation project for me. Something I didn't like when being a write-up. I don't know. There were good parts about it. I mean, a lot of the complaints you can have are more down to career purposes rather than the job itself. I think a lot of people in the industry get a job as a ride operator as their first job in the industry, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a really great way to get started. So I would say I don't really have any big complaints from when I was a ride operator at all. So do it again. In fact, this last weekend I did it again at the Merry-Go-Round Museum. Obviously, you know, for volunteer work at that point, but same idea. All right, so this is terrain added. Skip this song. I don't like this. It's terrain added by our grass texture here, and it's essentially just scaling up like the little divots it has in the ground, which is not ideal. So we're gonna try and fix that. Oh, not this. Where's my shading? Are you simulating it in Blender? Yes. Now it's not a it's not a perfect simulation. Like, this is not a simulator per se. So essentially it's more of an animator. All of like the physics and stuff, most of all the physics and stuff, kind of have to be done by you in a way that looks convincing. It's not like the thing's gonna simulate what would actually happen in certain situations, but it can be used to show that. So Falcon, if you check out any of my recent What Really Happened videos, so a couple weeks ago, or actually last week, was Birch Bay Slides. Check out that video, or the Varrooked accident. Both of those have a lot of animations, both in Blender. Same thing that we're doing here, just a little bit more of a difficult ride to actually animate than the, you know, a water slide. All right, so this is going to change this considerably. It may make me hate it. Let's see. How we looking? Considerably worse. That looks awful. Oh God, that's terrible. Why is our view so limited here? Thank you. Okay. Let me just use my own grass texture. So anything at the scales that I end up having to work with, it's not great. I also don't like this. Let's try 0.0. Let's give that a shot. All right, we're looking. Man, I hate how that looks. It's genuinely awful. I really probably shouldn't mess with this now. We could probably do this later, but you know what? Let's go all in. Let me see what this does, other than make it look really awful. Ew. Yeah, that is a little bit too large of a texture, I will say. All right, let me go back. What if we just? Too rough of a terrain, and like there's 7. Let's just see if this looks halfway decent, and if it looks halfway decent, then we'll just leave it for now. Are there parks I wish I could have visited pre-pandemic? Yeah, most of the SeaWorld properties. A lot of them have unfortunately changed for the worse, I would say, because those are really nice parks, but unfortunately they're just kind of been neglected since. All right, I don't know what I'm doing with this texture. I say we just no texture it. We can try and pull another one. Give me textures, please. Blender kit. Simple grass. Rock ground, let's try that. Oh, now that's a texture. I'm gonna scale it. Yeah, that honestly, yeah, we can make this work. We will do this. This is Australia. This is what Australia looks like, right? You can go away. Thank you very much for your help. And we'll play with scaling this, because I mean it's still obnoxiously large. Real quick, just because I'm obnoxious with this. That's getting slightly better. Some variation though. Yeah. Wow. What a great texture. All right, let's leave. I could mess with this all day, so let's not. Let's go back and figure this out. So we've got our subdivisions. This might be enough. We may need to subdivide one more time. Let's try doing some sculpting and see what we're looking with here. Working with. Yeah. Where's my? Why can't it just stay at 10,000? There we go. All right. It's Australia. I'm living on, yeah. If that's Australia, I'm living on Mars. Yeah. Don't worry. We'll fix the texture later. I just need something that's not gonna create geometry when we're trying to actively edit the geometry. So this will get the job done for a little while. All right, so I'm gonna raise the geometry around the ride a little bit and then lower it where we need it. So we also have to do our pool in the center. Let me carve out the trough here real quick. Alright, let's bring the strength up. Yeah, we might need some more geometry in this. Come on. Yeah, we're getting there. Again, does not have to be perfect right now. We are simply getting an idea for how this is gonna work. I think before we sculpt any further, we need to get our general heights down. So let me do that. I'll raise this section just a bit. Oh, actually quite a bit. Just need it to fit around the attraction a little bit more. This as well. Just got here. Do you create all the animations for your videos yourself? Yes, indeed I do. Currently anyway. I can't think of any. I mean, I guess in the distant past I used No Limits for a lot of simulations for the videos, and I still don't know how to use No Limits, so those simulations were not done by me, but everything else has been. And this is our section here, so we can leave that as it is because it's pretty much good. Those waves in the terrain. We will smooth all of that out later, so I don't need to worry too much about it just yet. Alright, let's go ahead and select everything, subdivide one more time, two more times, and let's go ahead and start some actual terrain sculpting here. So we need a pool in the middle of the ride that serves as our drainage pond. Raft rides are cool. I'm surprised there aren't more videos and stuff of how they work. I definitely wish there was more interesting stuff for them in theme park building games. Yeah, I agree. They are neat. They're honestly very dangerous rides. Probably a product of their time. They can be made safe like anything, but inherent dangers in them are are certainly more so than in other and newer rides. I definitely see why they're kind of a dying breed these days. Alright, so we got a pond that roughly needs to go here. So we will add that. In fact, what if I just to get an idea. Okay, that worked. So this area here is going to have our pond, our retention pond. Let me add our water to this so we can get a better view of what we're working with here. Man, this is really like Mars. We are on another planet with this one. This is a very, very different style of ride than I'm used to animating, so this is going to be a challenge, guys. Oh, I wouldn't hope for too much. I'm not a Blender expert on learning things by any means. I maybe have 100 or so hours if I were to get maybe a little more. I don't know. I picked it up last year around this time, so I really only use it for these ride simulations, if you want to call them that. All right, we're gonna make an ocean using the ocean modifier, and that's gonna be it's gonna be something. So look at that. All right, and let's see how we look. Time to remember how to use the ocean modifier. What's a water ride I wish there were more of? Log flumes. Love log flumes. But if we're going to talk about all water rides, then water coasters. And not like the roller coaster ones, like the water slide water coasters. Yeah, they can be just very out of control rides. I mean, anytime you don't have direct control over a ride unit, you're in a potentially, I guess, more dangerous design. You know, if you think of a roller coaster, you have a rail connected to it at all times that's controlling its motion. You know exactly where it's going to go from, one part of the track to the next. Whereas a water ride can be unpredictable. Water levels can be higher or lower. Rafts can move faster or slower. There's a lot more variables to it than with a roller coaster. Rode the Smiler before the accident. I don't want to say congratulations, that seems wrong, but that is an unfortunate accident. Very, very interesting whole thing going on there. Alright, I think we can probably do an established ocean. I think that's probably more what we're looking at. Do I need to bake it first? No. What am I missing? Time? Yes, it's time. Put this, and then it's just a placeholder. I forgot. Helps if you save your keyframes, folks. Alright. We have motion? No? We have motion. Can block zones on every single coaster be overridden like on the Smiler? So not exactly. Essentially, when you're talking about block zone overriding, it's not like you're telling the coaster, hey, ignore these block zones, you know, they don't exist. Oh, there we go. Delete the bake. Okay. Probably a little bit faster water motion than we need. But no, it's not like you're telling the coaster, hey, ignore this this coaster, or sorry, ignore that this block is occupied. What you're doing is you are basically. So let's talk about the Rides PLC. The way it knows that a coaster train is in a location is because there's sensors on the ride layout that detect a magnetic signal given by the Rides train, essentially. The Rides train passes close to it, a piece of it's made of metal, it detects it. PLC then says, okay, well, we got the signal, so there's a train in this section of the ride. And when you override a block, you're not necessarily overriding it and telling it, hey, we know there's a train in this block, send a train into it anyway. You're telling it to clear that stored data. So in the case of the Smiler, a train passed over the lift, right? Entered the ride layout and got stuck, valleyed in an element. In that element, there's no sensors. The next sensor to detect that block is clear is, I believe, on the following lift, because I believe the ride has 2 lifts. It's been a minute for me, sorry. But so essentially the computer is waiting for that signal. And what the mechanics in that case do, or on any ride, is they tell the computer, hey, you should have gotten that signal. We're going to reset that you ever got that first signal and basically start over. So you're not necessarily overriding the block. You're just resetting that signal that it got in the past. Which, I mean, yeah, it's a technicality when I say it out loud, but it's an interesting thing to kind of think about. So no, it's not overriding. You're just resetting that signal. And yeah, all coasters have that ability because you need that ability. There's many cases where, some kind of sensor somewhere on the ride does give a incorrect reading or goes out. And you're going to have data in that PLC saying, okay, well, there's a train in this block. When, you can visually verify there is no train in that block, you can account for all of your trains in an area you can see. Well, then at that point, there's something either wrong with the sensor or it gave a wrong signal, whatever it may be. And, you have to be able to clear that. So I hope that answers the question. That uncontrolled nature does add to the thrill, though, when you're on an old raft ride that has overgrown foliage around it. Yes. Yes, they're cool. They're very neat rides. I just, again, I don't know if they're necessarily gonna stick around. Okay, that does not change that. Oh yeah, let's make some giant waves. We just need little waves, nothing too crazy here. Something like that, just slowed down quite a bit, I think is what we're looking for. I'm glad I could answer your question. Alright, let's just extend this time frame here, because our actual thing is probably going to be, we'll just do 1,000 frames for now. It's honestly going to be probably quite a bit longer. It's going to be quite a big animation. It's one of the reasons this River Rapids project has taken so long for me, is I just did not want to animate it. There's so much. Move this down to frame 1000. See, not both of you. See how we're looking. Oh, helps if you should do a fresh bake here. Okay. I like the motion of this a little bit better. I think we're getting a little more reasonable. Maybe still a little bit too quick. It's a windy day, what can we say? Never riding the Jetstar 2 again. Probably safer than the River Rapids, honestly, but I mean, they're not, everything is in context, right? I mean, I say a ride is dangerous. It's still a million times safer than driving down the road. Heck, even at Tagada is safer, by statistics at least. So, saying a ride is dangerous is, technically true, but it's in context compared to other rides. Ever want to experience one of those crazy lazy rivers? Yeah, those would be awesome. I mean, we kind of have some wilder ones here in the States, like the ones at the crazy river at Volcano Bay is a wilder one, but the actual river like with giant waves in them, we don't really have, because just lifeguarding that sounds like a nightmare. I would never want to be a lifeguard there. I don't want to be a lifeguard in general. That job would stress me out, but I really don't want to be one there. All right, maybe turn down the old choppiness value a little bit. Let's see what that gets us. It's looking better. Looking a lot better. Okay. Oh, I missed a question. Something about Snoopy. Ah. Garfield or Snoopy? I would say Snoopy. But that's, coming from a Cedar Fair background. Tsunami M&Ds. That is the accident that evades me all the time. There's no report for that because the UK government makes it impossible to find accident reports. Harder than the Chinese government somehow. So unfortunately, I cannot cover that accident at this time. But I would love to at some point, don't get me wrong. But it is simply not possible right now. If anyone living in the UK, because it seems like the only way you can get these reports is if you live there, happens to have it or stumble on it, please send it my way. I would be happy to cover it. I just don't have the means to. Alright, now we're getting some water here. Oops. Move this over this way. And now we just gotta do our terrain a little bit and give this a water texture. We'll go ahead and do that now. A little wider. I'm sure someone's wondering how we're gonna do the water in the trough. That's a great question. I'm not sure. Body slide on Adventure of the Seas. Yes. Well, Adventure is the one that has the water coaster, I believe. I think it's a whitewater. Airtime moment is extremely painful. That might be why. I think that's the only RCI ship with a water coaster, so perhaps that's why it's the only one. A lot of those RCI ships use V-Gon slides, which is interesting, instead of like the more well-known water slide manufacturers, at least here in the US. So interesting stuff. Conneaut Lake Park, it's closed. Well, it's essentially closed. That would have been I wish I got to go there. That looked like quite the park. Oh, it's just body slides? Never mind. Which one is it? Is it Navigator that has? I don't know. Someone can tell me. One of the RCI ships has a water coaster, but a body slide. Interesting. The body slides I've done on RCI ships have been very smooth. And also the ones at Coco Cay, great body slides. I don't normally like body slides. Change channel name to Slide Enthusiast, or to Slide College. No. We have had our times on this channel where we cover other topics, and for a while there were more, actually right after the rebrand to Coaster College, there was more flat ride content on this channel than there was roller coaster content, so I should have been Flat Ride College, but no, it's fun having the slide background now a little bit as well. Let's get a water texture. Alright. You need to do what really happened on the Enterprise ride at the Texas State Fair. What year is that accident you're referring to? Dude, what is this water texture? Dude, people go all out. Alright. lake river water. Let's give this a shot. Most of these water textures are far too elaborate for their own good. Oh my god, the lag this is causing, I think, tells us exactly what I was thinking. Holy crap, dude. How do you make a water texture this hard to run? Alright. Listen, I'm sure it's a beautiful texture, but I don't think we're going to use that. Water realistic. Let's try this one. How come Son of Beast wasn't designed with airtime moments? I don't know, but I would reason to guess that because the original Beast didn't really have airtime moments, at least not very many, I would imagine that's probably the reason why. But that's just a guess. I don't know. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere with this water here. How's the motion of it look? Looks decent. We can do some tweaking with it. This is not the end. I need to actually do quite a bit of work with the water because this is not aligned to the actual timeline of our animation. But this water is not near as taxing as the last water, so we'll go with this. All right, Blender Kit, you may disappear. Thank you. Let me just play with the shading real quick. You know what? There's a lot here. Maybe we'll just leave this. Blender Kit is awesome. I love using this because I can just download things so easily, but what would happen if the power went out on an Enterprise ride? The ride would slowly descend to the ground and stop spinning slowly, but it would probably take several minutes. I imagine it would be not comfortable for the riders, but it would not just crash to the ground. Let's go back to our terrain here. Make this here a pond. This is our retention pond for the water used in the Rapids ride. I think, let me get this kind of right about here is where it needs to end. Goes into the ride over there. Honestly, looking pretty close. Maybe tighten it up here, but again, this does not have to be perfect. This is not going to be the focal point of the animation at any point. Just add a little bit over here, just a little. Okay. And now that we have that done, we're going to add just a little bit of terrain in the distance so this doesn't look quite as barren. Really just kind of surrounding in our scene and hoping to clear out our little our little bumps we made. Let me just get the old smooth. And again, we're gonna go through and fix this grass texture because it is absolutely awful right now, but we can fix that. You heard of Ride Development Corporation bumper cars? There's some at Fun Center, and they only feature a strap, no seatbelts. Yeah, that's not too abnormal for a bumper car to not have a physical seatbelt. You don't need one per ASTM, I wouldn't imagine so, unless you're running your bumper cars at obnoxiously high speeds. So, I mean, I have not personally heard of that company, but it sounds legitimate. Alright. You know what we may just do is take this grass texture is absolutely bothering me. We may just take our grass texture from the Birch Bay Slides video and bring it over here. Because this is hurting the eyes. Alright, let's give it a save. And open. So, Birch Bay. There's our birch base slides. Oh yeah, this. Alright, well, this thing does have quite a bit of procedurally generated texture in the form of the grass, but I don't think we're gonna need that. But we can work on that. What's this texture called? Did I name it? Grass 002. Perfect. Ah, it's not great, but dang if it's better than that other grass texture. It's very smooth. Alright. How does it look on here? Yeah, we can just scale it probably and get a decent result. But god dang, that's a lot better than the other one. You heard of simulator flat rides? Yeah, of course I've heard of simulator flat rides. They a lot of companies advertise them at IAPA. They're a very good option for smaller organizations like FECs and such. So yeah, I've heard of them. They're legitimate. They're decent at what they do. I'm just confirming everything looks good on your guys' end. My stream that I've got pulled up here on my view is stuck back when we had the ugly grass texture, so making sure you guys can see everything all right. Our grass is already starting to look better. Definitely need to do a little bit more smoothing, which we can easily do. But oh my god, that is a million times better than that other grass texture. Should have just started with that. It's a lot more viewable. All right, let's go back to the old sculpting. Smooth this out considerably. Thank you for saying it looks good. Much appreciated that the stream is working as intended. You never know. I may need to subdivide this even more just to make these edges look not so rough, but yeah, we'll see. We might be able to get away with it. Alright. Flatten this. Just a little bit. Now we're going to carve out the trough path for the slide just a bit. Hopefully this is a little easier on everyone's eyes. We've completed that last changing that texture. So that was pretty bad for a minute there. Carve this trough out. This is alright because this section here and a lot of the sections of this ride are underground. So at the end of our trough. Yep. Okay, perfect. That section there starts the conveyor, which Everything goes back up. So I'm just going to leave that as so, just for now. We'll make that a little better in a second. Let me kill my frame rate here by going ahead and subdividing again. Should give us a little bit more geometry to work with here. Yeah, that looks so much better. So much better already. Look at that. Never be afraid to to add more geometry. And for the person that said they were learning Blender, do not take that advice. My computer is gonna explode doing this. Alright. Carve out the rest of our trough here. Not a whole lot needs to be done. This, again, does not have to be perfect. The terrain outside of the ride especially is really not going to be seen a whole lot in the video. So it really just has to exist. And I think after this, we'll go ahead and work on something a little smaller, which is modeling one of the rafts themselves. Because the alternative is to try and do water in this trough, and that's going to require some tutorials, so I'll do that off camera. Yeah, we're looking pretty decent here. I like that. But again, no one's gonna see it. I'll be inside the trough for the majority of this. Smoke normal for our computer. I think Subdivide might have done it to mine. Yeah. We're pushing this one. But hey, it looks nice. Looks very smooth now. It solved all of our terrain issues. We've gone from having something that really looked awful to something that you can at least look at without wanting to throw up. It kind of looks like a Rapids ride now. I should probably update the thumbnail, because man, that thumbnail has the stupid texture. Ever cover the log flume accident at Castles and Coasters? I didn't know that it happened, so I don't know. I don't see why I wouldn't cover it, but I know Arizona. I don't know what their rules are on ride inspections in Arizona, but a lot of times states with very few rides don't really have much in the way of inspections, which means they don't really have much in the way of like accident report follow-ups. So, you know, if there is an accident, usually they don't have much to report because they usually don't investigate. What you'll get in a lot of cases in states like that is if there's a serious enough accident they have to investigate, then you'll get something like a police report, which, I mean, gets you a little bit of information, but it's really more designed to be used for like if there's anything criminally wrong, which majority of ride accidents there's not. So it kind of ends up being a dead end from a finding out what happened perspective. I just did something that made me realize something. I've not tested this water texture here with our full shading. So let's see what that looks like. This is gonna lag. Oh, why is it so white? Come on, water. Why you gotta do this? This looks terrible. Where's our transmission value? Yes, I did hear about the guy who climbed out a desert storm in the lift hill. that was covered pretty well by Ryan the Ride Mechanic. I don't think it's going to get a report, so I really don't think I'm going to end up covering it. But interesting situation for sure. Do you know if you're going to make the Dreamworld River Rapids accident? What really happened? Yeah, absolutely. That's I wouldn't make this animation if I wasn't gonna, because I'm not. What's the word? Whatchamacallit? A masochist. Yeah, I'm not a masochist. Because this is not pain-free trying to make these models and animations. So I wouldn't do it if I wasn't gonna be able to use it for a video. Roughness values are not changing what I want them to change. God, I like this water texture, but this is not cutting it. I think it's probably made for cycles. Let me check cycles and see what it looks like. This is gonna lag like crazy. Alright, you know what we should have just done is just render the actual frame instead of trying to render in real time here. This is gonna take a hot second. That is why I don't use cycles. My CPU usage is now at 100%. Oh boy. What happened a few times before. Holiday World's owners bought Alabama Adventures. There aren't any reports from the state of Alabama, just a bunch of news articles. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's how a lot of ride accidents are. You don't get a report, you just get news articles, and the news articles all say the same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this water texture. It's definitely made for cycles, considering, well, it looks great. Well, other than all the pixelation, but this is definitely not what I would like to get out of this. Alright, let's switch back to Eevee. Thank God. My computer is very happy. My CPU usage is back to normal levels. Alright. Yes. Cycles is awesome. It looks great, but honestly, with how Eevee has gotten to be these days, I don't really need to use it as much because you can do ray tracing. And as soon as they added that, I mean, just look at the scene difference. With no ray tracing, it looks so flat. And it works, but like with ray tracing, it changes things, especially in smaller areas. A giant scene like this, it's not as good. Do I still work at Cedar Point? Yes. You should highlight Coaster Crafters again. I'm impressed with my coaster models I got from them. I'm sure others would be too. Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine has, well, my partner has business Coaster Crafters. I've helped them with it significantly. Basically, take a lot of the 3D models from the projects I've done here, as well as their own, and create coaster keychains, coaster models, all sorts of things. You can find them on Etsy. I also mentioned them in the What Really Happened on Scream at Longshan Park. So if you would like to go check those out, you can get some nice last minute Christmas gifts. They're super cool, 3D printed here in Ohio. All right, Water Realistic, I think you're out. All right, let's try this water. It's like so easy to make a water texture in Blender, but so hard to make one that looks good, especially in Eevee. Yeah, okay, so Sparrowhawk, you're the second person that's mentioned that they were surprised that Eevee has ray tracing. It debuted in October, I think, and I was like, oh my god, ray tracing. And I looked it up, and they're like, oh, Eevee doesn't have ray tracing. I'm like, no, clearly it does. It caught me off guard as well. Imagine if the gap was too small to feature upstop wheels on Magnum. Yeah, I have to agree. That would be pretty wild. This isn't not doing it. Can we just get a water that works in freaking... This is the same water. Exact same process. Usually in EV, I found if you make the water a little bluer, it works. In this case, a lot bluer. I just want clear water. I know there's a way to do it. And I have so many water textures downloaded at this point. Just give me one that works in EV. And doesn't lag the entire thing. Oh, this is nice. I'm liking this. Except it's not liking me. Jesus, this thing is causing a lot of random lag and weird behavior. Let's give it a render, see how we look. Yeah, I like the water spray, but it's just a little extra. More than we need. And it's clearly not helping our frames, so let's get that out of here. Just freaking working EV, that's all I ask. A lot of these water textures that are made the same exact way, so it's pretty easy to see. I wonder if that's why Gemini never got upsell wheels. Pretty sure the gap on that is the same or possibly more than Magnum. Oh my god, dude, this is just awful. Whoever made this, you suck. No, you don't suck. You're probably very skilled at this software, but dang, that is... Oh, EV water! Thank God! Oh, yes! Now that's what I'm looking for right there. Almost too clear, though. I bet you I can fix that. Oh, thank you, whoever this is. Tosh, thank you very much. This is a very, very nice product. Oh, I'm not going to log in. Alright. We'll fix the texture on it, but there we go. Alright, let's see. Yeah, of course, making this for a potential video. Not even potential. It's going to happen. Should be out by the end of the year, knock on wood. Favorite coaster and least favorite coaster to operate? I don't know. Favorite ride to operate is easier, Sky Ride, and probably Slingshot behind that. Coaster. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what we want. Almost kind of want it to be a little greenish blue. There we go. That's very much what we want. Oh, thank you to that person. Ooh, this is not where we want to be. Got our test dummy in place, though. Ah, that looks much better. Shading on, looks good. Looks very good. A little bit of tweaks that need done, but nothing we can't handle. That is usable water right there. Least favorite coaster to operate? I mean, I haven't operated a ton. Probably Rougarou. The pad system is just very obnoxious. Favorite? Probably Magnum. Imagine if a coaster has concrete rails. That'd be kind of funny. I'm surprised nothing like that has ever been tried, honestly. I'm sure you could make a ride pretty cheap with that, but I can't imagine the ride would be particularly smooth. 3 manuals for Zyklon coasters if you'd be interested. Granted, they're from the 70s. Yeah, sure. I'm always interested in kind of nerd things like that. If you want to email them to me, coaster.college@gmail.com. Yeah, Sparrowhawk. Yeah, that's a fair point. A lot of these are probably made for water simulations, you know, small scenes with water. Whereas this is not a small scene at all. So, I completely understand. Let's get back to sculpting here. Just gonna clean this up. And then, are we? Nope, we are not selecting that. Uh-oh, there we go. All right, gonna use that as a reminder to save. Save early, save often. Just increase the depth of our little retention pond here just a little bit. Let's bring it out this way a little bit. And then I believe it cuts over to the ride at one point over here, which we can certainly scale it to be. I don't think we need it quite that deep in this area, so I'll just go lighter. And throw some smoothing on it. We smooth all of our edges here. And now just scale this over. There we go. You might need to mess with the depth a little bit. Honestly, I might raise the depth of our trough a little bit because it drops up a little bit more significantly than I would like. Let me change that really quick. There we go. And that just about gets the job done. Perfect. Oh, all right, let's give it a render just to kind of see how we're looking here. Make sure there's nothing that I'm forgetting and make sure this looks right. This is Blender. Oh yeah, we're getting somewhere with that. All right. Well, you guys have put up with me screwing around with terrain for long enough. Let's clear out the terrain in the station area, and we'll go ahead and make a raft so you guys have something a little bit more interesting. All right. At what forces do upstop wheels become necessary? Well, I mean, if you're talking about the difference between like a pad or a bar and a wheel, or a dedicated upstop wheel instead of a combo like side friction and upstop, then probably, I mean, I guess there's no set force at which a ride has to have upstop wheels, at least in ASTM's language. However, there is, trying to do two things at once here. There is certainly a point where it becomes more practical to do so from a design and maintenance longevity standpoint. I mean, honestly, in most cases, it just makes sense to do a wheel these days. It's not that expensive to have a wheel and a wheel bearing, as opposed to replacing a brass bar every, certain number of weeks, months, whatever it may be, because that's what you end up having if you have like an upstop pad of some kind. Is the pad needs replaced. It will wear out as it rubs up against the bottom of the rail. So, from a standpoint of that, a longevity standpoint, it kind of makes more sense just to have upstop wheels on a ride these days anyway, unless you're really trying to go for the absolute cheapest of the cheap. All right. I think that's enough of suffering with terrain for right now. Let's go ahead and do something a little bit more fun. Let's do cursor selected. And we're going to add ourselves a raft. So actually, before I do that, let me pull up a reference image. So we can have something to base this off of. A higher resolution version of this image. This is the game you always play. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let me not add that tourist, and instead let's go ahead and add another reference image. Usually I just have this up on a second screen for myself, but you guys will probably want to see it, which is understandable. There we go. Yeah, let's be smart about this. Oop. Bear with me here. There we go, now it's flat. Alright. So this is what we're going to be modeling our raft off of. Here's the actual raft. It did interestingly have quite the restraining device on this ride compared to your usual raft ride. For those of you who don't know about this ride, this ride was basically made completely in-house. It was not made by Intamin or any of the other large raft ride manufacturers from the time. It was made in-house by DreamWorld, and there were a lot of engineering mistakes, but honestly the seat belts were really a choice. I don't know, most raft rides either don't have seat belts or just have very, very flimsy ones, but I mean, this is like I don't know, you have these Velcro type restraints that are like, yeah, I mean, they look more securing than a little flimsy seatbelt, but the benefit of the little seatbelt is you can get out easily, very easily. And when they're secured, they're not going to become unsecured if you have like a click fix style, actual buckling seatbelt. This one, it's kind of challenging to get in and out of because you gotta un-Velcro a pretty large piece of Velcro, and two, it's not actually going to restrain someone. So I don't know what the thought process was there, but interesting for sure. All right, add ourselves our tourists, and let's scale it up. Something like that. Yeah, honestly, this makes it pretty darn easy. These are our segments there. Honestly, for our baseline for the wrap, this might do here. Maybe increase our radius just a little more. And we'll squish this out when we're done, but it's a pretty decent base for a raft right there. Let's take this over here, see if we got our scale right. Dang, we pretty much nailed that. I'd say that's just about right. Maybe a tiny bit smaller. Should have just kept this over here. I think that's right about there. Okay, cool. Got a wood texture going around the outside here. Our actual raft insert kind of goes down into the middle. So let's add a little cylinder here as our base. If I remember from the flipped over images of this ride after the accident, the space goes pretty far down into the ride. A little bit of a rim around it where the inner tube kind of fits around it. Alright. Let's make a quick rubber. Rubber texture here. Like this, increase our roughness. And let's see what this looks like shaded smooth. Yeah, I'm liking that. I don't know if we want to go into detail to add the lines there. Not sure if that's going to be needed. Keep it shaded flat for now. Let me give it a little bit of a coat just so it looks a little wet. Oh, there we go. That looks great. Alright, perfect. And then our fiberglass on this is kind of just a plain brown. So we'll make that now as well. Similar story with this. We're going to give it a little bit of a clear coat. It makes it look quite a bit more convincing. Alright. And then we're going to build this out. So this right here is our base. We'll leave this as is. Actually, we could do this. So we're going to be bullioning this object anyway. So we make our insert as wide and deep as we need it here. And it looks like it comes just above the raft. A tiny bit higher. Sure. Oh, dude, the mountains are screwing with us at infinity here. There, terrain. There we go. Just want to make sure we're not going under the raft is all. That right there should do. Comparing that to our actual raft here, looks like we rise up just a hair above the inner tube before flattening out. So yeah, I think we're in the right place. Just go ahead and extrude. And expand. Ah, selected too much geometry. Let me actually just lower this just a tiny bit because I'm going to extrude here. Yeah, let's try that. Oh my god, I made the same mistake twice. Please just select this. Thank you. I want all this lower. Alright, I think our exterior here needs to be just a hair wider. Ooh, not, because it does have to, yeah, I think maybe about there. Might be what we need. And that is the base. Yeah, I like that. Now we're going to just copy this real quick because we are going to hollow out the inside. Let me go a little deeper. See how we look here. I like that. I think we need to be a little bit less steep and a little bit wider. Let's try that. Getting somewhere. A little bit wider still, I think. Use this music a lot, and what really happened. Fitting. Let's try that. Oh, helps if you. Where'd our modifier go? Uh-oh. Oh boy, we're gonna must be getting close to the edges of the geometry here. Let's size this back down. And let's just size up this whole object. And now I can increase the size of this a little bit. Nope, too much. Dang it. Try exact. Nope. Okay, now that should simply be working. There we go. That, I think, is looking a little bit better. I still think it's just too deep. I think that's where the primary problem is here. It also looks like on our raft here, let me pull up my original reference image. I think we actually need to get this a little bit more tapered, which actually we could probably manage. What if got an idea? Questionable on if this will work, but this is why I have 20 people watching me. You know, if I fix that bevel there, because otherwise this is going to get ugly. Something like that. And then we switch this to steps preset. Alright, that's, well, it is working as intended, but it's not working exactly right. Alright, so we've got some extra geometry out here. I don't even know why this exists. Did I accidentally extrude twice? Or is this from the bullioning incidents? It was probably from that. Well, either way, we can just expand this, get this out of our way, if it will allow us to select it. There we go. There's my thing to select. It's one of these. It's the problem. You take 1 week off Blender and suddenly you forget everything you know. Where's my selection? Ah, screw it. Okay, we've not screwed up the geometry too much. So let's do this again. I think that's getting a little bit closer to what we want this to look like. Now, on the real ride, we've got kind of a step, like an instant step, which we can add. Oh, yes, Alt-click. I knew there was a way to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I knew that was a thing. There we go. Can always delete some of the inner tube there and get a more accurate thing. So how we have this is we have the seats and then kind of a step down terraced thing. And then a deeper part. Oh, man, it's so hard to tell off of photos. Let me pull up another reference image. So few images of these rafts because they're all just of the accident. The problem, one of many things you encounter when you're looking at an accident like this, where it's, you know, a fairly mundane, unknown ride prior to the accident. Okay. So it looks like our seats kind of, I can't tell. So we do have a step, but the step down might actually just be for loading, unloading. It might not go all the way around. Yeah, that looks like it's the case, but it's in 3 positions. So I might actually leave what I have here. Because if I lower the width, no, that's not right. Not how I want this to look. So if we go wider, and obviously we can get rid of our tourists there in the middle. Yeah, that's kind of more what I'm looking for. Okay. Yeah, all right, let's go with that. We'll get rid of this little piece of inner tube. Alright. This looks good. I just need to cut this very top portion of the inner tube. Beautiful. That's looking more like it. That is looking more like it. Heard the rumors of FunSpot removing their enterprise. I have not, but a lot of those Schwarzkopf enterprises do seem to be disappearing, so I wouldn't be surprised, as we saw with Carowinds this last week. Alright, so now our seats, and thankfully, for the first time on any of these animations I've had to do, the seats are pretty easy on this ride. Thank God. But yeah, honestly, this is coming together. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's have a little thing in the middle. Let's make that real quick. Seems fairly simple. Looks like we just have a little conical cylinder, if that's a word, that rises from the middle and attaches to your metal bars that go around for people to hold on to. Okay, let's do this. Honestly, we can modify it from here. If we just make this, it's actually a pretty simple shape. Something like that. Looks like we extend maybe a little below where people's knees are at. So a little bit below the seats, or at the seat level, which those are going to be kind of up a little ways. A little hard to do this without references. We can always change it later. So maybe like that, and then I think we need to scale this whole thing down just a hair. Raise that back up. There we go. I think that's about right. Add our material to it. Keep it looking nice. And then we just need a little ring here, metal ring. So we can do this one of two ways. Let's do it. Let's do it the potentially easier but possibly harder way. I'm just gonna do it with just converting a curve to a mesh, but it sometimes can get messy. Let's try this. Alright, well, that's not what I wanted. Oh, location 0 is not where I thought it was. Can definitely lower the segment count on this. Coaster College live stream, indeed. A tronicated cone, is that the word for it? You've seen the recent additions to Dream World, they look awesome. Yeah, I've heard about them. I haven't, I don't know details about them, but yeah, it looks like they're really recovering well, which is good. A lot of changes seem to have taken place, and it looks like for the better. So, I don't know the details, but it does look like they are on the right path. Turn this metallic all the way up. Roughness all the way down. We're gonna shade smooth. Oh, look at that, gorgeous. Every one of these animations, I end up with like a reflective metal texture. And I just make it each time. I should probably like save these. Roughness way down. This is pretty reflective stuff. So how's that looking? Oh yeah, that looks great. It's exactly like what we want it to. Alright, and it looks like we just have some supports. I think 4 of them. It's angling outward. We'll make it the kind of unapproved way. Unapproved meaning not the most efficient, but it's easier than trying to do it the way that I would otherwise, which is using converting a curve to a mesh, which is cool, works great, but man, can it be temperamental. I will mirror this though, so anyone who knows Blender and is watching this, then do not worry. I'm not going to try and manually place all of these, just the one. I should have realized you build your own models and stuff, considering the level of dedication. Thank you, much appreciated. Yes, I do my own models, which can be quite time consuming depending on the specifics of the video, like this one. But some of them honestly aren't too bad. I think we can angle this a little bit more. I think we want it to come to about the top of the podium here, or whatever we decided the shape is called. Looks about right. Yeah, plenty of room for people to have their legs underneath, like they would on the ride. That sounds really weird saying it out loud, but I think you hopefully understand. Alright, let's give this thing our old texture. Did I name this texture? Oh. Metal. Ah, yeah, it looks gorgeous. Alright, let's give it the old mirror. This. You know, whatever. There we go. We now have some handles for our raft. See, that looks pretty decent, I think. See it in the rendered view? Still looking pretty good. A lot of light in the rendered view. May adjust our texture here just a hair. Let me increase this. Can also just decrease the amount of bright light in the rendered view. Yeah, that's a project for later. I like this. This is coming out nice so far. We're making some good progress. Let's see, what time is it? 10:14. Let's make these seats, and then I think we'll call it a night here. The seats should be, knock on wood, should be fairly easy. I think what I'm thinking is just we take the back half of a cylinder, kind of shape it a little bit on the sides, and thicken it up, and we'll have ourselves a pretty decent looking seat. Don't really know what the seats themselves look like on the inside. Let me find some more pictures here. Sorry, I don't really have a good way to show this on stream, but man, that is a blurry photo. Again, this is rides like this that are long gone at this point and have, you know, really no notability other than the accident that happened on them. Finding photos of them isn't always a challenge. is. And it's not like I can just look at a similar example of this ride like I could with, you know, a standard ride model, because unfortunately this ride was made in-house. So there is only one of its kind, and that's probably for the better considering the design this thing had. Alright, looks like the seats themselves were pretty flat inside, which is good news for me. So that makes it very easy to model. Alright, so the seats kind of stick back a little ways and then sink into this little depressed part of the ride itself. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but so we will have to do that. But that shouldn't be too hard. Let me just make sure we have this right. And we also got to figure out a wood texture to go around the top of this little rim if we want to go that detailed, and also make the rope. But I have an idea for how we can make the rope. So, but again, we don't need to go in extreme depth. This is just an animation for an accident. It's going to be shown a bit, but you know, it's not the end of the world. God, that looks awful without a terrain. Let's turn that back on so we can enjoy all the work we put into that. Ooh. Still needs more work, but it's another time. All right, let's do these seats. Let's do, I think we're gonna want more edges here. More geometry, our favorite thing this stream, adding more geometry. And get the height a little lower. How's our width looking? Theoretically, there's how many seats on this ride? There's 6. Man, these are small rafts. So 3 sets of these. Yeah, I think we honestly have the right scale as is, roughly speaking. Yeah, I'm pretty content with that right there. Maybe go a little taller, but this isn't the end-all be-all. We can always scale this later. Yeah, that'll do. Your most ridden coaster. I don't know. I don't count my coaster rides anymore, but I would reason to bet it's Magnum, with Mako probably being not far behind. And then probably Raptor behind that. I don't know. It's probably up there, but definitely Magnum is I would bet number 1. Don't know for sure, but I would be willing to bet that is number 1. This out just a ways, and honestly, if we do some deformation of this to get the shape we want out of the seat, that might not be the wrong idea. Did Epidemic Sound give up on us? Yes, it did. There we go. I just play this directly from their web player because that service, I don't know if anyone here ever has to create their own videos or anything, but Epidemic Sound, highly recommended. This is not sponsored. They are genuinely just a very good service. I'm not too worried about the thickness because we are going to thicken it later. I just want it to be even. How far do our seats go? Just go right to the edge of the ride. Something like that, I think, is actually just about what we need. Let's go ahead and cut this out. This is even, or it really should be. Yes, it is. It's just placed on a curved surface. Move it over here so I don't disorient myself. Alright, I added that reflection to this. I think we probably went a little overboard. And continuing with the most ridden coaster question, it is Magnum. I don't know how many rides on it. Probably, I mean, it's definitely more than 100, because I did 100 in a year, and that was the one time I counted. So it's more than that, but beyond that, I don't really know. Oh, this is why I had terrain turned off. Oh god, what is our geometry doing? What do I want to do with this? I mean, let's delete all this geometry and we'll add it back later. Not all. Alt click is not going to work. Keep you. Boom, boom. Alright, and just because I hate leaving this. Alright, honestly, I don't want these edges. I don't want it to curve in at all. There we go. This will be a bit of an easier shape to work with. Let's bring this down. Topology 101. At least I know when my mistakes are mistakes. Do not claim to be an expert. Alright, so we want this to go pretty steeply down here. And I realize this is not an ideal setup, because I cannot see what I'm basing it off of. That go down. Kind of gradually bring this down as well. And honestly, we can get away with, I think, just doing it the way I'm doing it. Yeah, I'll do the solidify modifier at the end. I know somewhat of what I'm doing. Not a lot, but I have an idea. Alright, I'm gonna move our reference image here. Get this a little bit closer. A little bit easier to do two things at once now. Alright. And we'll bring this down. I might actually bring the end of the seat out just a little ways. Let's do this from infinity. Oh, other infinity. Edge of the seat out just a little bit. Yeah, we'll do solidify at the end of this. Raise these back vertices just a little, just them. Let me select both, please. Thank you. How's this looking? Okay, let's raise these two. 3. Like that. And let's make this just a little more gradual. That's looking more like what we want. We need to maybe raise a few more of these, so let's do that real quick. There we go, that's looking a little bit more like what we want. Raise these 3. There we go, that's pretty much what we want right there. Alright. Liking this. Let's go ahead and solidify. And we should be just about good. Obviously we'll have to make it fit into this a little bit more. Our actual seat depth is, looks like it kind of, it's a little bit higher than this bottom step here. So let's lower this to the bottom step. And let me extrude our vertices here. Of course, we're gonna play this. Just because it does extend along there, essentially. And I think actually what we can do is if we just fill in this space. These seats are very flat on the actual ride, flatter than you'd expect. Flatter than I'd expect. We have to carve away part of the liner here. But it might be what we want. So let's thicken that up to how we want it. I should say it around there. Our seat itself looking pretty good. I think we want this a little higher though, so let's do that. And taper it off, we'll add a little bevel. Something like that, yeah. We may need to solidify before we can do that. Close edit mode. It's honestly, yeah, I think that much of a bevel is more what we're looking for. Do it here too, just to smooth out our shape a little bit. There we go. Liking that. I think we're getting somewhere. All right. Well, I think we've got some serious progress here. I think it is about time to call it quits for the night. But I do appreciate all of you tuning in and helping out with the creation of this little model. Hopefully soon we'll have some more done and we can do maybe another stream of the actual animation itself, which will come up here in the next couple of days. So I'll be working on this and should have a nice video done here by the end of next week. But I appreciate you all for tuning in to this stream. 8 a.m. tomorrow is the next video being published. As always, every Saturday, 8 a.m. is the next long form video, so make sure to check that out. Other than that, oh, and all those times are in Eastern time. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you on the next stream. Have a great night.